Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm a somatic teacher and therapist. And today I would like to show you a couple of simple practices you can do to learn how to let go of your head. Now, what I mean by that? Our heads are, in a sense, our headquarters. So we often kind of confuse being self with being inside our heads. And that's why head turns out to be something of utmost importance that we tend to be very, very protective about. So there are other parts of the body when you might develop some holding protective patterns that create constant tension in your muscles and change the way your fascia shapes. But I would argue that head is somehow special. Most of the people have really tough time letting go of the head. And the more we can find those little moments, the more we let go of control as well, which is often a good thing. All right, so let's begin with something really simple, but subtle. So let's do circles with the head, but not this typical circles when you let your chin drop and then you yank your head all the way back. Those are micro circles. By the way, of course, you can sit in any other position than I'm in right now. You could do it standing, you could sit on the chair, wherever you're comfortable. This is not important. But let's just start doing those micro circles. So think of it this way. Think that your head is just precariously balancing on top of your neck and that there is no connection between them. As if you just put a skull and you wanted it to stay on top of your cervical spine. And you don't want that head to drop all the way down to the ground. So those are micro circles, without letting your chin drop all the way down, without dropping your head all the way back. The smaller, the better. And often, this tiny movement allows you to feel that your habitual place where you're holding your head might be not the most optimal place, meaning it often moves forward. We kind of tend to go around the world with reaching forward ahead, and it causes enormous pressure and enormous strain on our necks. So this little practice kind of brings you back to the central axis of the body and allows you to find a place where literally you do not need to place that much of a strain to keep your head on top of your spine because it is aligned. And the job is done by the stability of your bones. It doesn't need to be done by the strength of your muscles. But this is more looking at it from mechanistic perspective and kind of trying to find the place of a natural alignment. But now we're going to try something different, lying down. So there are two versions of giving the head. I'll show you first the one that tends to be easier, but it might turn out that the other one is easier for you. So have a go at both. Okay. The first thing when you land is it's always a good idea to roll around a little bit so that you can really feel the contact between the body and the floor. So the contact between the back of the pelvis, the back of the rib cage, your shoulder blades, and obviously the back of the head with the floor. You might stay first for a while and observe how does that weight, how does your body weight distribute over all the meeting points between the body and the floor. So how much of that weight is given down through the feet? How much of that weight rests from the back of the pelvis, for the right and left shoulder blade? And how much of the weight of the head you can give now at this point to the ground? And I want you to focus on it for a moment just so that you remember the sensation of it, because then we'll be comparing it. Okay. So after you've done that, you can now interlock the fingers at the back of the head. So interlock them tightly all the way to the webbing of the fingers, and let your elbows rest with all their weight on the ground. And let the weight of your head rest entirely in your hands. Now you can spend next few minutes even imagining and making that image as vivid as possible in your imagination, that your head is something external from you, that it's a round, heavy object that you're holding now in your hands. You might imagine that you're holding a bowling ball in your hands, or I don't know, a cannonball, something really heavy and round, whatever comes up to your mind. And whatever you're gonna do next, it is imagining that this is this external thing, which means you will use only the strength of your arms to lift that heavy head of the ground. We're not doing it yet. For now, you're giving your head time to get used to being held, to get more comfortable already and kind of melting into your hands. And the signal that you're gonna keep on sending is that the neck doesn't need to do anything, that you don't need to hold your head, that it is gonna be held by the arms, and the arms can do this job perfectly well. Another important thing to keep in mind is that, yeah, it's going to be an effort, definitely, because a head is a heavy thing. It's up to 4 kilos. So it's going to be an effort for your arms, but the point is not to lift it as high as you can. It's actually going to be quite low, so that you can still look at the ceiling rather than at your thighs, all right? So give yourself time to really feel it, to already start feeling that your back of the head is kind of melting into your hands. And then when you're ready for that, start by lifting your elbows up towards the ceiling, and then get ready for that effort mostly from your arms. So remember, you're not trying to lift the head as you normally would by tensing up all your neck muscles. The neck, the head are relaxed. They're on holidays. They're staying in your hands. You're using your hands and the arms to lift the heavy head as if it was an external round object. So ready? Use your hands and arms to lift that heavy head. And of course, there will be this automatic pattern of tension turning on. You might not be entirely convinced whether the arms can still make it. If there will be this kind of pattern of, no, I want to be in charge, I want to hold the head is too precious not to hold it. So see how much of it you can let go consciously. sending constantly that message, it's okay, the arms are strong enough, you can relax here, you can be kind of floating in the air, melting into those hands. And it takes some convincing. Perhaps you won't feel it at all the first time you do it. Or maybe after a while, and sometimes it's felt like quite abruptly, as if something really heavy dropped into your hands suddenly. And then you know, okay, now I'm really holding it with my arms only. Now I let go of the head. So it might happen, it might not happen today. Do not hold too much expectation about it, but give yourself time. Remember to keep on breathing. If possible, keep your legs and belly relaxed as well. And really focus on holding it with the strength of your arms. Of course, if they start shaking with effort, you know it's time to go down. And then that way down is also very important, so you don't simply drop. You're gonna go really slowly, moderating it again with your arms. The first thing that's gonna land is the back of the hands. Then it's elbows. And again, give yourself a moment in this position with the head resting in your hands before you start very, very slowly, so that you really don't want to disturb what you just created. Very, very slowly start sliding your fingers away and let the back of the head rest on the ground. And feel into it. Notice if there's any difference in the way your head is resting on the ground. And there's a very high probability, if your head was ready to let go, that now it feels like kind of sunk deeper into the mat. You might even have that feeling that is kind of sinking into the mat as if it was a sun that is really getting far deeper in. You might also notice that if you let your head roll from side to side now, it kind of moves in a very kind of fluid way and without much effort. Now, if that didn't quite work and didn't make much of a difference, you can also try a version lying down on the side. So here, you're gonna lie on the side with your head resting on the ground. And it might already feel awkward because it's not a position of your head or of your neck that you're used to. But unless you have some ongoing issues, some degeneration in the joints of your cervical spine, or something like that, and it just feels weird, see if you can stay with it. And now you can start imagining again that your head is super heavy. Here it's a slightly different story. You're imagining that you would really love to lift your head, but you cannot because it's so heavy. It's as if it was weighing 50 kilo or 100 kilo, and there's no way you can possibly lift it. So once you've imagined it fully, you can use all of the strength possible, perhaps in all over the body, maybe mostly in the neck, but maybe all over the body, to try to lift that super heavy head. But you know, it's actually not possible because it's 100 kilo. You cannot lift it. So you're putting all of that effort to lift the head, but it doesn't lift. Or if it lifts maybe enough to slide a piece of paper between the head and the ground. So there's this moment of effort, don't hold it too long, and then let go. Let everything release. And you can try it maybe 1 or 2 times more. First imagining that heaviness in the head, then putting all that whole body effort to try to lift the head might feel how everything is tensing out the side of the neck, and then let go. Give that weight of the head all the way to the ground. Okay. You might try it also on the other side if you wish. You might also, after doing it just one time, roll onto your back and notice again if there's any difference in the way you perceive that heaviness or how much down your head sunk into the ground. And we try the version when you kind of lift to release, so that your body can feel the difference between the two and can realize that it was actually holding in the first place. You could do the same by pushing in. That's one more method I can give you now. And that is if you try to press with the back of the head into the ground as if you wanted to make a hole in the ground, and then you release it. It might work, it might not work. You will see which of these is kind of working better for you. But eventually, you kind of know that you let go of the holding if you check it with some movements. It might be something like moving your arms out to the sides and then allowing your legs very gently to drop from side to side and allowing the rest of the body to be completely relaxed and allowing that rest of the body to respond to this movement. So now I'm going to give you a little secret. Every time you move your pelvis, your neck is bound to respond, so long as you don't hold it. Or there is something else along the entire length of the spine that blocks that communication. So perhaps you notice very slight and very gentle rolling that happens on its own in your head. Or maybe it is perfectly still. So again, you can use a little bit more of an intention here, telling your head, yeah, it's okay, like you're not meant to be still. You can get moved together with that movement of the legs. And see what happens. It's more like an invitation. You don't try to move your head purposefully, because that's totally not the point of that whole experiment. But notice if it's willing to get moved just because the rest of the body is moving as a response. And again, it's not something that happens after one try. So that's very important to realize. Don't expect it to work 100% after you tried it first time in your life and you have a very strong pattern of holding the head. It's very likely not to happen on that first attempt. So whatever it is, and there was even a tiny change, that's already a huge change, believe me. You could give yourself that last diving into the sensation of contact between the back of the head and the ground, inviting that head to sink deeper into the mat. And then you can roll to the side. Again, maybe let your head drop all the way. Give the weight through the hands. And come into a seated position. Any seated position, again, doesn't really matter how it will be. Maybe again, coming back to this tiny circles, finding the place where the head will be most comfortable at the end of the spine. Where is it in space? How does it feel? If there's any new sensation coming from head being upright in this relation to the gravity. So I really encourage you to play with it a little bit and be very patient with the effects. So don't expect it to happen straight away or to have a really big effect straight away. But definitely it's something really worth working on. I hope that you enjoyed this little practice. And if you'd like to get to know more about your holding patterns, how your emotions might be contributing to the tension that you have in your body, and how you can slowly repattern both this ways you're responding, you're holding yourself or you're moving, but also how you're responding to particular situations, more your behavioral patterns, and work with the nervous system. I recommend you to subscribe to my mailing list, as I send out the newsletter with kindness every Monday morning, and it's a little dose of education every week. And if you enjoyed this video, I also post one video every week, so don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.